What up YouTube, Quasi here, commuting in the hot San Antonio traffic. It actually isn't as bad as it could be, but you know, it's never fun to sit in this kind of traffic. I'd rather actually be riding. But anyways, while I'm on my way home, I wanted to talk about why did I choose to buy a Ninja 300. When I was looking to buy a bike, I was also looking at the CBR 250R, Honda's bike, their starter bike, and the Yamaha R3, kind of, because the R3 only started production in 2015, so it wasn't really out with good reviews when I was looking. And then I was also looking at the KTM RC390, which I don't think was in the States at the time. At least I couldn't find a dealer. So I want to tell you guys why I ended up finally deciding on the Ninja 300, and it was for a couple of reasons. One of the biggest to me was ABS. So the R3 doesn't have ABS at all, and neither does the RC390 as far as I'm aware. The CBR 250R does have the ABS option, but it's a 250, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So anyways, I knew from the start that I wanted a bike with ABS. I know you can practice and be good at braking without ABS, and I almost never use ABS in normal braking, but the reason it's there and the reason I wanted it is because it's there for emergencies. ABS is when you get into that oh shit moment and you can't think, oh, I need to make sure to use mostly front brake, a little bit of back brake, not too much of either. When you don't have the time to think about that braking, that's when ABS will save your bacon, and it has saved my bacon. I'm glad I paid extra for a bike with ABS, because there has been, I think, probably 2 times where something happened, either a car cut in front of me or I missed my turn and wasn't thinking, I should have kept going, that kind of situation where I just slammed on it without thinking, and then you feel that the shuddering where you know ABS is in effect. And I was like, thank God for ABS. That could have been bad. I could have slid out, lost control, all that stuff, but ABS saved me. So that was a big reason that I wanted a 300. The other reason was because it was a 300. So when I was looking at reviews online on the whole 250 versus 300 versus 500 versus 600 as a starter bike, I saw a lot talking about 300s versus 600s and even bigger. Mainly like, just don't start with a huge bike as a first bike unless you know you can respect the bike and take it easy to learn everything. But there was less information on 250 versus 300. But from what I did find, I found that 250s are like right on the edge of what you'd consider usable for on the highway, and I wanted a little bit more power than that. And because the 300 is actually a 300, a step up from the 250, it does have a little more power than the CBR 250R, which it has come in handy. You do get close to red line on the highway in 6th gear, but you do have a little bit more, I don't know, would you call it safe room? I can't think of the word I'm looking for there, but it gives you a little overhead, I guess, compared to the CBR 250R. I think the CBR 250R is a little bit cheaper though, so if price is something you're really strongly looking at, all the starter bikes are right in that same $5,000 price range, brand new, so it's not too much of a difference. But so that was the big thing for me. I wanted a 300 over the 250 for the little extra power for the highway, and I wanted ABS. The other nice thing about the Ninja 300 is that it has a slipper clutch, which that can help if you're new to shifting, like I was. I don't know anything about bikes. If you downshift and you don't rev match, if you do it bad enough, you can really jack up your bike. And even with the slipper clutch, you can jack up your bike and get into an accident. But the slipper clutch is another safety net that I really liked on this starter bike. And not everyone's gonna need it. I know people who have started on 600s with no technology whatsoever, and they came out just fine. But for me, I wanted that little extra safe. Oh shit. I thought those 2 cars were gonna run into each other because they didn't see each other. But I wanted that little extra safety net for my first starter bike, and I gladly paid extra for those features, and I will do it again. I know people like to hate on technology when it comes to motorcycles, but sometimes having those safety nets is what can make the difference between being alive and being dead. That sounds dramatic, but that's the truth. At least that's the way I see it. Now, all that being said, I think the 250R and the R3 and all those other starter bikes can be good options, and ultimately they're so similar to each other it probably doesn't matter. Honestly, you could do just fine with any of them. But those are the reasons I ended up with the 300 from Kawasaki, and I don't regret it. I think it's a good bike, definitely a great starter bike. Kawasaki knows what they're doing by putting that technology in their starter bikes. And I think they've made me a Kawi fanboy, because from what I can tell, they seem to be one of the manufacturers that does put technology for the street in their super sport bikes. The traction controls, the ABSs, the intelligent braking system, aka cornering ABS, all that stuff. Kawi is one of the few, I think, that does all that for their super sports, and I like that safety net. It's just a little extra peace of mind that I use and I enjoy. But yeah, that's about it. If you have any other questions, just let me know. I'd be more than willing to answer what I know, so hit me up. But that's all I got for y'all. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know. Peace.